The Galactic Wildlife Preservation Station orbiting Kragath 7 was in controlled chaos. Alarms blared through the sterile corridors as security personnel rushed toward Containment Sector 12, where 6 Kragathi predator cubs had somehow escaped their reinforced habitat. Kragathi predators were apex hunters, massive creatures that could tear through durasteel when fully grown. Even as cubs, they were dangerous, each one the size of an earth lion, with crystalline fangs that could shred most known materials and pack hunting instincts honed over millions of years of evolution. The station's protocol was clear: any breach required immediate armed response and tranquilizer deployment. Chief Security Officer Vaxren, a four-armed Therion with decades of experience, led his team through the corridors with weapons raised. His thermal scanner showed the cubs' heat signatures, but something was wrong. They weren't scattered or hunting. They were moving together, calmly, following something. Following someone. All units, converge on Corridor 7 Beta, Vaxren commanded, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into Galactic Common. Targets are mobile but contained. Prepare tranquilizers. He stopped mid-sentence as he rounded the corner. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, the station's human xenobiologist, walked casually down the corridor. Behind her, in a loose formation, padded 6 Kragathi cubs. They weren't stalking. They weren't hunting. They were simply walking with her. One of the smaller cubs occasionally bumped against her leg affectionately, while another playfully swatted at its sibling. Dr. Okonkwo. Vaxren's voice cracked with stress. Freeze. Don't make any sudden movements. Sarah turned, her dark eyes showing mild surprise rather than fear. Oh, hello Vax. Is something wrong? Is something, Vaxren's translator actually stuttered. Doctor, there are 6 lethal predators following you. Sarah glanced back at the cubs, then returned her gaze to the security chief with a gentle smile. They're not following me, Vax. They chose to come with me. The security team stood frozen, weapons trained but fingers hovering uncertainly over triggers. Shooting near a human colleague was problematic enough, but the cubs were critically endangered. One wrong shot could cause an intergalactic incident. Doctor, Vaxren said slowly, trying to keep his voice calm, please explain what you mean by chose. These are non-sentient predators. They don't choose. They hunt, they kill, they follow prey. Sarah knelt down, and the security team collectively gasped. The largest cub approached her, nuzzling its massive head against her shoulder. She scratched behind its crystalline ear ridge, and the creature made a sound that Vaxren's biology lessons had never covered, a deep, rumbling purr. That's where you're wrong, Sarah said softly, her hand moving to another cub that had approached. They absolutely choose. Kragathi are pack animals, Vax. Social creatures. They're not mindless killing machines, they're family-oriented, loyal, and incredibly intelligent. The research data, Vaxren began. Your research data was compiled by species who've only observed them from behind barriers or through drones, Sarah interrupted, her tone remaining respectful but firm. No one's actually tried to understand them. You see predators. I see potential companions. Station Director Krillnox arrived, her hexapod legs clicking rapidly against the floor, a sign of extreme agitation. Dr. Okonkwo, how did you breach containment protocols? Those cubs are in isolation for assessment and eventual release. Sarah stood, and remarkably, the cubs arranged themselves around her, not aggressively, but protectively. I didn't breach anything, Director. The cub's mother was showing signs of severe distress. I went in to assess her condition, and the cubs approached me. Their mother allowed it. Actually, she seemed relieved. Relieved? Director Krillnox's antennae quivered with disbelief. The mother is the most dangerous specimen we've ever housed. She's a mother separated from her mate, confined in an artificial environment, trying to raise 6 cubs alone, Sarah countered. On Earth, we learned something important about apex predators thousands of years ago. You can't just study them, you have to respect them, understand their needs, their psychology. One of the smaller cubs whined, a sound surprisingly plaintive. Sarah immediately crouched, checking its paw. This one has a thorn lodged in its pad. Has anyone been monitoring their environmental enrichment area? Vaxran lowered his weapon slightly. We provide standard habitat maintenance. Standard for what? A sterile observation lab. Sarah carefully extracted the thorn, and the cub licked her hand, a gesture that made several security officers step back. These cubs need proper terrain, social interaction, mental stimulation. They're bored and frustrated, not dangerous. She looked up at the assembled officials. You want to know why they chose to come with me? Because I'm the first being on this station who treated them like intelligent creatures instead of specimens. I sat with them. I played with them. I respected their space and let them approach me on their terms. Director Krillnox's voice held a mixture of frustration and curiosity. Even if that's true, you've violated every safety protocol we have. These creatures could have killed you. Sarah's laugh was warm, genuine. Director, humans domesticated wolves into dogs. We turned some of the most efficient predators on our planet into companions, protectors, and friends. Not by dominating them, but by forming partnerships. By recognizing that intelligence and emotion aren't exclusive to sentient species. She gestured to the cubs. These younglings weren't following me because I commanded them. They chose to trust me because I showed them respect, patience, and kindness. That's not control, that's relationship. Vaxran's weapons finally lowered completely. This is unprecedented. In all galactic records, no one has successfully bonded with a Kragathi predator. Because no one tried the right way, Sarah said simply. She began walking back toward containment, and the cubs moved with her, their earlier playfulness returning. On Earth, we have a saying, in the end, we will conserve only what we love, we will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. You can't love something you're afraid of, and you can't understand something you won't connect with. As Sarah led the cubs back to containment, with their mother watching calmly through the observation window, the security team parted like water. They watched in amazement as the human woman opened the habitat door and the cubs bounded in, immediately going to their mother, who touched her massive snout to Sarah's hand in what could only be described as gratitude. Director Krillnox approached Vaxran, her voice quiet. Make a note in the official log. Recommend Dr. Okonkwo for the Kragathi Conservation Program. And, perhaps we should review our protocols for working with endangered predator species. Note made, Vaxran said, watching as Sarah sat just inside the habitat, surrounded by cubs, while their mother stood guard, not over them, but with them. Should I also note that humans have an inexplicable ability to befriend apex predators? Note that humans, the director said slowly, understand something we forgot. That intelligence, emotion, and choice exist across species. They just recognize it better than we do. As Sarah laughed at a cub's playful antics, the sound echoing through the containment area, the galactic officials realized they were witnessing something profound. Not the domination of nature, but the art of connection, a skill humanity had refined over millennia of walking alongside their world's wildest creatures. The cubs hadn't followed. They had chosen. And in that choice lay a lesson the galaxy was only beginning to understand.